Welcome back. In this section, we will cover the data action and its usage in the planning story. So we have already created this data action for our use case, and so in this data section, we have created advanced formula step with the context having the parameters and variables on the target measures. Even this target measures will also have a input field. So we have a calculated, as you can see in the previous video, we have a calculated measure that will calculate value based on this particular input fields. As a first step, so click on the, as a first step, you want to create this context and variable. Before that, we have to create the parameters to use it in the advanced formula step. So go to the parameter section and you have the add filter option here. Add new parameter to add any parameter based on your use case. So by default, we have the target version and we will be using it for a strategic planning. So for our strategic headcount planning story, we have created six dimension parameters and three measure parameters. Hierarchies can be enabled for parameters if it is defined for the dimension in the model. So for example, we have the organization or cost center which already have the hierarchy set. If you click on the organization parameter, you can see the hierarchy is enabled here. So this is essential so that the user can have a bulk selection or single selection based on the parameter in the parameter pop-up. And we have provided cardinality as any, and if you give it as a single, only the leaf node will be coming, leaf or whichever load we are selecting, it will be coming. As you can see, the cost center also has the hierarchy. So we have created six parameters for dimensions, and we have three parameters for measures. So the measure parameter can be created if you click on the one which I've created. We have to select the type as number so that it can be directly used as a input field. The input type should be dynamic so that the user can be allowed to change the values for any new data action trigger they are creating. So if required, we can give a default value as well. So once your parameter is done, do maintain the ordering based on the numbers, because by default sorting is based on the ascending order. So if you want to have a specific sort, we can give it based on the number as I have given here. So then we go to the advanced formula step. We need to define the context of this data action. Context is based on the parameters or filters we have created. I have provided all the dimensions parameters in this context, some of which the source is maintained through the input control in story for the dynamic usage. So coming to the variable section, we have added three different measures as for target, and target will be we have already set as the strategic planning. So for each and every target measure, we are providing the parameter as an input here. So how do we create that? So click on this add button, put an input field, and in the input field, you have the option to select parameter. Okay. So I have explained the complete features of the data action we have created here. Now in the next section, we'll see how it is used in the planning story. So coming back to the planning story we have created, The data action which I've just showed you can be used through the planning trigger. Within the planning trigger, there is a section selection option for data action, and you can assign the data action you have created. So, for example, go to the edit mode, and here you have the option to add a planning trigger. You can select data action trigger, and here you have the option to select the data action you have created. We have already added that, so I'm just showing it as a reference here. Okay, and so if you see, we have close to 9 input fields. When I just click on the run this planning trigger, so this is how the prompt dialog will be there. So as you can see, some of the values are already pre-filled and some are empty because this pre-filled values are coming from the input control we have created. I'll just explain how this is being added for this data action. So by default, it will be a member selection, like as you can see here. For example, you have this member selection option available here. So this is a default option for all the parameters. And how do we change that? So for this particular data action trigger, go to the designer part, and here you see for each parameters there is a selection option here. How do you want? You want to have an input control? Do you want to have a story filter? Or by default you'll have a member selection? So we have selected input control for 3 of the parameters, and the rest we have just used it for selection during the trigger. If required, we can give everything as a story filter or input, I mean as a input control for easy usage. And coming to the input control, so how do we, so here you see the values are like preloaded here, so which is being select passing from the input control created here. So how do we select or change the values? Just click on the edit filter, and so here you have the hierarchy listed and which value you need. So for example, I've selected one organization bu1, and instead of that I need the bu2 as my parameter for my trigger. Just click on ok, and when you try to run the trigger, you see bu2 is coming here. So that's how the value is passed from the input control. And here if you select I mean, if you require, you need to go and add multiple values. You can do that here as well. Okay, so now we can go ahead and provide the values for the parameters and see the end result here. So for a starting point, I'm just giving very few values. So let the organization be B2. I need strategic planning for the year 2023, and contract type. I'll remove everything. I'll just keep one value apprentice, and gender. I'll just take the first value female, then position, cost center. Okay. So I'm just adding one value, I mean one particular row here, and if required, we can do bulk load as well. So for this, we can give a head count, opening head count. Let's say we have 40 members, active members available. So new hiring plan is like 8 people, and the termination it's for 4 people. Let's say. Okay. Now click on run. Let it run in the background. Okay, so here is the end result. So initially there was no data available here. Now you see for strategic planning, the 2023, one row is created for this particular organization, and this particular contract, female, and this position and cost center. So in this way, so we can create multiple rows, and it saves your time of like for example, the default option available here is like go and add member and trying to input value for each and every row. Instead of that, we can do a bulk load as well. For bulk load, you can either ignore certain parameters or select all values in the parameter during the planning trigger. And after you create the bulk values, you can change the values into individual cell or using the distribute value function available as a default provision to distribute the values among the members. So for example, I just remove this particular, I'll just select multiple. I want to have the same kind of values for multiple cost centers. I'll just put the same value here. We just try to run. Here. So you can see the same like values are being added here. And if you want to change the value here, you can just go and change the value individual cell. Or if you need a bulk change, you can just select on the fields, this particular field, do a distribute value, and here you have the option to overwrite equally or proportionately to other members as a selection. Just, I mean, it's just for a descriptive purpose. You can do in-depth changes when you do a proper planning. Okay. So after you finish, so let's say if we finish this strategic planning data which is prepared, the next step is like to publish the data. So do publish it. So once it is published, you can go to the modeler and see your model. And so here you see we have applied it for strategic planning. So you can see that value is being added for that number of like 7 rows have been added as a bulk update. So this basically saves your time when you do a planning for large organization having hundreds of positions and thousands of divisions. So it'll be definitely helpful. And so once it is being write back to the published to the model, so then you have the option to export here through data management. So here the option to export it as a file. Currently, we don't have the write back option directly to SuccessFactors, but SuccessFactors supports OData services. So I haven't tried whether the OData services can be used to push this file to SuccessFactors because it requires the appropriate mappings. So if someone has already tried it and if it is successful, you can post it as a comment in this blog, which will be beneficial for the customers. Do post your comments on this blog. Any queries or clarifications required, you can post it as a comments. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.